Hello, this is Myra Elaine on the Buying Space channel. Today I'm reading from Proverbs, the book of wisdom, a book we should all read and think about and listen to. Today I am in chapter 6, starting in verse 6. Go to the ant, thou sluggard, consider its ways and be wise. It has no commander, no overseer or ruler, yet it stores its provisions in summer and gathers its food at the harvest. How long will you lie there, you sluggard? When will you get up from your sleep? A little sleep, a little slumber, a little folding of the hands to rest, and poverty will come upon you like a thief, and scarcity like an armed man. Wow, what wonderful words to contemplate during fall, during the time of harvest. Because those of us, like me, that didn't plant a garden, we don't have a harvest. Of course, we live in different times. We have grocery stores, but we are at the mercy of the economy. We are at the mercy of the government imposing rules that affect the prices. We are at the mercy of the weather, the drought. We are at the mercy of trends in labor. I'm kind of disabled and I don't really think I could do a garden, but it's time. If you've been thinking about it, and maybe you didn't do it this year, I would really say, please try to grow something next year. Of course, I live in Florida, and in Florida, there are February plantings. But like I said, I'm disabled and I have a full plate already. But I might have to switch my priorities. Now, with ant colonies, interestingly enough, now ant colonies and bee colonies both have queens. But the queens aren't necessarily in charge. The queens are important and they're protected and they have a lot of influence in the colony, but they're not in charge of the colony. They're in charge of reproduction for the colony. There are some ant colonies that have multiple queens. And if you live in Florida and you get fire ants, you have to, to get rid of the colony because the queen reproduces, is the one that makes more ants. You have to do something that kills the queen because fire ants can, oh my goodness, I don't even want to talk about the experiences with fire ants I've had living in Florida. And one year I got these little things that were Caribbean crazy ants. And I kid you not, that's what they're called. And they move around and and they're little teeny tiny things. But ant colonies use, I don't know if they're called pheromones, but they work together. They have a chemical type of communication. I've seen ant colonies or videos of ant colonies. I've not seen this personally, even though I've had a lot of experience with fire ants and being in Florida. But they will, like if there's a flood, they will cling together and they will make the whole colony into a raft. And they all work together. Not only are they industrious all the time, they are the group. I mean, there's individual ants, but they are the colony. And I watched a movie, a kid's movie, when Marty was young called Ants, Antz. Brilliant movie. And the grasshoppers were making the ants give them a lot of their produce, their food. And every year they would come and they would bully them and they would make them give them a portion of their food. And this one year they had come and they were like, well, we need more. The grasshoppers told them, we need more. You know, it's kind of like living in society, and, you know, you get taxes and tariffs, and, you know, and the government and the people that are already rich want more. And they always do. So, this one ant stood up and said, you know what? There's 10 times as many of us than there are of them. And they defeated the grasshoppers and were free from that oppression. And I love that. Robert Reich had pointed that out. And I had mentioned that probably over a year ago. But then Robert Reich picked up, not necessarily from me, but, you know, it's just like anybody that's seen that movie remembers that. And we need not to sleep or slumber. Not only to store up things for the winter during harvest time and all throughout the year for future use, but we also need not to sleep and slumber about things that need to be done, not just for us, not just for our family, but everybody. God is love, and the Bible teaches equality. It teaches to be good to strangers in your land. It teaches so many moral lessons. Proverbs is just full of wisdom. And here we are being told not to sleep and slumber. And that is deeper than just bringing in the harvest. We have humanity to be concerned about. And it's something to think about. What can I do to help with our nation? What can I do to help with our state? What can I do to help with my local community, my county, my city, my town, my area of town? What can I do as an individual to help? Am I asleep while something is going on that shouldn't be going on? Am I doing my part to help, or am I hurting? Things aren't always what they seem, and sometimes people are making tremendous efforts in the background to help others. Not just help themselves, but to help others. And this is a tremendous bit of wisdom here in Proverbs chapter 6. And I hope that some of you are listening to me. Not just my words, but my meanings, the concepts that I'm trying to purvey here, the concepts that Solomon laid out for us and laid out for his children and his son to make the next generation better, to improve things. You know, like, I'm not in competition with anyone except for myself. That person I was yesterday, I don't want to be that person anymore. I want to be something better. I want to be better. I want to be good. And I want to help others. And, you know, we all have our living situations. We all have the amount of resources we have. And sometimes just taking care of ourselves and our family, especially if you have somebody in your family with special needs, sometimes that charity begins at home for you to help. But then you get into situations where what you're doing for your family helps others too. And I look for those situations. Like, this is the direction I need to go. And this is going to help me or my family and my neighborhood. And it's going to help people in the state and maybe people in the nation if the direction I'm going is helping. And that started with helping someone in your own household. That can happen. So stand up for your family members. Stand up for your own rights. And it helps everybody. So it really, it takes a village, but sometimes one person can make a big difference. And don't let anybody tell you that you're not equal. Don't let anybody tell you that you don't matter. What you do today, excuse me, my throat's going, can help many other people in the future. You all have a wonderful and blessed day. Goodness.